Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of World Panorama with me, Frank Pereira, on Rajya Sabha television. Over the next half an hour, we'll bring you a roundup of all the significant events to have happened around the world this week. But first, a look at the headlines. U.S. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn quits over allegations of contacts with Russian officials. Resignation follows warnings by the U.S. Department of Justice to the Trump administration. U.S. President Donald Trump meets Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, urges him to curb settlements but avoids endorsement of two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un's half-brother killed in Malaysia. Investigating authorities divulge very few details about the death. South Korea says Kim Jong-nam was killed by North Korean female agents. Around 80 people killed and close to 250 others injured in a suicide attack at a Sufi shrine in Pakistan. Islamic State claims responsibility for the attack. Pak Prime Minister vows to take revenge against the perpetrators. Well, President Donald Trump's National Security Advisor Michael Flynn resigned amid allegations that he discussed U.S. sanctions against Russia with its envoy before Trump's inauguration. Flynn is said to have misled officials about his call with Russia's ambassador before his own appointment. Meanwhile, Donald Trump held talks with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday. Here's more.
U.S. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn resigned on late Monday night over allegations of his contacts with Russian officials before Donald Trump took office. Flynn's resignation followed reports that the Department of Justice warned the Trump administration weeks ago that such communications could leave him in a compromised position. Flynn is said to have misled officials about his call with Russia's ambassador before his own appointment. Retired General Keith Kellogg, who has been the Chief of Staff at the National Security Council, has been named as Acting National Security Advisor. Russia, however, refused to comment on the controversy, saying it was an internal matter of the U.S. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump met Canadian Prime Minister in Washington on Monday as both leaders pledged to improve ties and work together in the field of trade and common economic goals.
So our relationship with Canada is outstanding, and we're going to work together to make it even better. And as far as the southern border is concerned, we're going to get that worked out. We're going to make it fair, but we are going to make it so that everybody is happy.
Canadians are rightly aware of the fact that much of our economy depends on good working relationships with the United States, good integration with the American economy. And the fact is, millions of good jobs on both sides of the border depend on the smooth and easy flow of goods and services and people back and forth across our border.
The two leaders, however, had a difference of opinion on Trump's travel ban on nationals of 7 Islamic majority nations.
I'm just doing what I said I would do when we won by a very, very large electoral college vote. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew this is what people were wanting, and that wasn't the only reason. That wasn't my only thing that we did so well on, but that was something that was very important.
Continue to pursue our policies of openness towards immigration and refugees without compromising security. And part of the reason we have been successful in doing that over the past year, welcoming close to 40,000 Syrian refugees, is because we have been coordinating with our allies, the United States and around the world, to demonstrate that security comes very seriously to us, and that's something that
Trudeau is the third foreign leader to visit the U.S. president since he took office on January 20th. Trump had met Britain's Theresa May and Japan's Shinzo Abe earlier this month. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat to talk about this is consulting editor of the Telegraph, KP NAYAR. Mr. NAYAR, thank you so much for joining me on the program. You know, where do Russian and U.S. relations stand as we speak right now? Because it seems like, it's headed towards troubled waters.
President Trump is very clear about where he is going on the relations with Russia. And it appears that despite setbacks, he is quite serious about fulfilling what he said during the campaign about resetting U.S.-Russia relations. He has sent Rex Tillerson to meet Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. The meeting has got some coverage, the meeting in Bonn between Secretary of State Tillerson and Lavrov. But what should be stressed is that this is the first meeting between the new Secretary of State and any of his counterparts.
Sure.
I mean, that means Trump means serious business with Russia. The fact that America's old traditional enemy, Russia, that Tillerson is having the first meeting not with any ally of the U.S., not with any of the American poodles, but with Lavrov. And from all accounts, the meeting between the two men was very substantive. Syria was apparently discussed, all of which is quite positive. So Obama wanted a reset in relations with Russia, but he was thwarted by the establishment. It remains to be seen whether Trump will have the same fate, because the American establishment doesn't want a reset with Russia. But so far the signals are positive.
But the sticky issue of sanctions, of course, continues to be a problem between the two countries. Do you believe that the Americans are going to address that issue sometime soon?
I suspect that Trump would have already moved forward on sanctions, but the resignation, the circumstances of National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's resignation has made it politically difficult for Trump to move ahead, because the whole issue on which Flynn had to resign related to unauthorized discussions between him and the Russian ambassador Kislyak, because 18th century law prohibits private individuals from discussing foreign policy with foreign government. And the time Flynn discussed the sanctions with Kislyak, he was a private citizen. He had not yet become National Security Advisor. So if he were to move very quickly on sanctions against Russia, it would lend credence to allegations that Trump and his people were in collusion with Russia on sanctions going against established U.S. policy when they were not authorized to do so. Probably he will do something about sanctions, but the setback on Flynn has made it necessary to delay it.
Is that something that's going to come back and bite Donald Trump somewhere in the near future? Because several people in the media have suggested that it could be one of the biggest scandals.
Well, it has actually the potential to be like Watergate, because the whole issue is when did Trump know about these unauthorized contacts. The current belief in Washington is that he knew a month ago, in which case what did he do about this very serious breach of U.S. security actions? So if it comes about that Trump knew and did not do anything about it, it could come back to haunt him. And who knows, could even eventually lead to his impeachment, depending on how serious it is. But on U.S.-Russia relations, I just want to make one more brief point. Simultaneous with the Tillerson-Lavrov meeting, there was another engagement in Baku between the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff and General Gerasimov, his Russian counterpart. And these military-to-military talks so early in a presidency also shows that Trump means business on resetting the relations with
Indeed,
Russia.
Trump means business, but the time looks difficult at the moment. Thank you so much, Mr. Nair, for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Well, moving on now, US President Donald Trump launched a ferocious attack on the media while defending his record during his first weeks in office. Trump appeared in a 76-minute press conference where he told reporters their level of dishonesty was out of control. He cited coverage of his campaign's alleged contacts with Moscow. Critics say his blocked travel ban and the firing of a top advisor point to a White House in chaos. But the president used his speech to tout his fulfillment of campaign promises and said his administration was a fine-tuned machine. An event that began with Trump announcing his new choice for Labor Secretary escalated into a blistering attack on the media. He charged them with downplaying his achievements after he inherited a mess at home and abroad.
Well, the leaks are real. You're the one that wrote about them and reported them. I mean, the leaks are real. You know what they said. You saw it. And the leaks are absolutely real. The news is fake. Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people. But I'm not ranting and raving. I love this. I'm having a good time doing it. But tomorrow the headlines are going to be, Donald Trump rants and raves. I'm not ranting and raving.
Well, US President Donald Trump has dropped decades-old US policy backing the establishment of a Palestinian state alongside Israel as part of a permanent Middle East peace agreement. Speaking at a joint press conference with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the US President, while not ruling out a two-state solution, said his administration had no preference when it came to the final geography of the region as part of a permanent Middle East peace agreement. Trump's comments dismantled one of the key pillars of the US-led peace efforts since the signing of the Oslo Accords, which envisioned the creation of a Palestinian state alongside the Jewish one. Trump, however, asked Netanyahu to hold back on settlement building in the West Bank and East Jerusalem for a little while. More than 6 lakh Jews live in about 140 settlements built since Israel's 1967 occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem, land that Palestinians claim for a future state.
That both parties like. I'm very happy with the one that both parties like. I can live with either one. I thought for a while the two-state looked like it may be the easier of the two, but honestly, if Bibi and if the Palestinians, if Israel and the Palestinians are happy, I'm happy with the one they like the best.
There are two prerequisites for peace that I laid out several years ago, and they haven't changed. First, the Palestinians must recognize the Jewish state. They have to stop calling for Israel's destruction. They have to stop educating their people for Israel's destruction. Second, in any peace agreement, Israel must retain the overriding security control over the entire area west of the Jordan River.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but still to come. It's been almost a week since Kim Jong-un's half-brother was killed in Malaysia, but it's still unclear what exactly happened to him. We'll take stock of what we know so far on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The art of painting comes to us from the prehistoric period. Paintings are also a valuable source of information about their age. Like this depiction of the wedding procession of Dara Shikoh. The eldest son of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan had a Mughal wedding with distinctive Indian elements. Like the veil he wears to the pomp and show of the Bharat in Hindu weddings.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, around 80 people were killed and scores injured as a bomber blew himself up in a Sufi shrine in the Sindh province of South Pakistan. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has vowed to fight the militants responsible for the attack, which has been claimed by the Islamic State group. After the strike, security forces launched a search and strike operation and claimed to have killed 100 terrorists. Here's a report.
What I saw here was like a doomsday. The courtyard with the boundary shrine was filled with thousands of people who were crying and wailing. No one was there to pick up anyone.
Survivors of the attack recount the horror as a powerful bomb ripped through a packed Sufi Lal Shahbaz Kalandar shrine in the town of Sehwan in Sindh province on Thursday night. The attack has been claimed by the Islamic State group. The attacker first threw a grenade which failed to explode, then he blew himself up among the devotees. The casualties are high as the shrine was crowded, as Thursday is considered a sacred day to pray at the shrine.
As soon as I entered the shrine, I heard a dreadful sound. The first thought that came to my mind was that this could not be a bomb blast, but the next thought that came to my mind was that we were dead. It was like a doomsday.
The authorities immediately launched massive rescue and relief operations. Since the shrine is located in a remote area, ambulances and medical teams were sent from far-flung city areas to take care of the injured and move the bodies. Late at night, Pakistan Army night flying helicopters were also put into service. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif condemned the attack, saying, "The past few days have been hard and my heart is with the victims. But we can't let these events divide us or scare us. We must stand united in this struggle for the Pakistani identity and universal humanity." This is the 8th terror attack in Pakistan in last 5 days and comes amid reports of the reunification of some powerful factions of the Pakistani Taliban. Some of these groups have links with the Afghanistan-Pakistan chapter of the Islamic State. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's half-brother Kim Jong-nam was killed in Malaysia on Monday. South Korean officials believe that he was assassinated by North Korean female agents. Almost a week since the death, there is still no clarity on what exactly happened. Meanwhile, in the latest, Malaysia performed a second autopsy on Jong-nam because the first procedure was inconclusive. Police also arrested a fourth suspect identified as a North Korean man. Let's now take a look at what transpired till Friday.
On Monday, the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was killed in Malaysia. It's been almost a week since the mysterious death of a Korean man at Kuala Lumpur airport, and there are still no real answers. Initially, Malaysia refused to identify the dead man as Kim Jong-nam, saying that the passport he had on him was under the name Kim Chol. This despite South Korea's insistence that it was indeed him killed on the orders of North Korea's brutal regime.
The government believes that the murdered person is Kim Jong-nam, whereas the Malaysian government did not specify who it is.
Malaysia finally confirmed for the first time on Wednesday that the dead man was indeed the half-brother of the North Korean leader. Malaysia's cautious handling of this case has been evident from the start. The police have been sparing with their details, with official statements about arrests coming hours after they've already been widely reported. There have also been conflicting and often contradictory accounts from different divisions of the police, national and district, adding more confusion to the story. What we know so far is that 3 people have been arrested. 2 women are amongst them. Police say one is Indonesian while the other was carrying a Vietnamese passport. A third suspect, a Malaysian man, police say is the boyfriend of the Indonesian who has also been detained. Police have detained the suspects for 7 days for further questioning. Meanwhile, Malaysia's Deputy Prime Minister said they may release the body of Kim Jong-nam to North Korea after completing the probe.
I think after all the police and medical procedures is completed, then we may release the body to the next of kin and through embassy.
The facts in this case are murky to say the least. But based on police reports, this is what appears to have happened. On Monday, Kim Jong-nam was about to aboard a flight to Macau from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. He is thought to have arrived in Kuala Lumpur on the 6th of February and was on his way back to Macau, where it is believed he lived. But while he was at the airport, at least one woman is thought to have accosted him and covered his face with a cloth doused in some sort of burning or poisonous chemical. He then went to the information counter and asked for help. Subsequently, he was taken to the medical clinic in the airport, from where he was sent to hospital, dying en route. It is still unclear what kind of chemical was used in the apparent poisoning. How exactly did he die? The post-mortem examination of his body has been completed, but details have yet to be released to the public. North Korea hasn't said anything about the death. Instead, the focus in Pyongyang this week has been on the 75th anniversary celebrations of the current leader's father, Kim Jong-il. In North Korea's secretive regime, unanswered questions are a way of life. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
An inquiry in Australia heard that the Australian Catholic Church has paid 276 million Australian dollars to victims of sexual abuse since 1980. The Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sex Abuse was told the money was divided between thousands of victims. The data released on Thursday showed the average payment was 91,000 Australian dollars. Here's more.
Australia's Catholic Church has paid 276 million Australian dollars in compensation to thousands of child abuse victims since 1980. A government inquiry heard on Thursday. This was the first time the total compensation paid by the church's schools, orphanages and residences has been revealed. A report at a Royal Commission into Institutional Abuse said 3,066 victims had received some form of compensation from a Catholic body in the 35 years to 2015.
Overall, Catholic Church authorities paid $276.1 million in response to claims of child sexual abuse received between 1 January 1980 and 28 February 2015. That sum include amounts for compensation, treatment, legal and other costs.
Cash payments of 258.8 million Australian dollars amounted to an average $91,000 per person. Some compensation was in non-cash payments. The institution which paid the most was the Global Order Christian Brothers, which paid 45.5 million Australian dollars to 763 people, averaging $61,000 per person. The Jesuits paid the most per complainant at $257,000 each on average.
The earliest incidence of alleged abuse reported in a claim to a Catholic Church authority was in the 1920s, and the latest was after 2010. Between January 1980 and February 2015, 4,445 people alleged incidents of child sexual abuse in 4,765 claims.
The Royal Commission, Australia's highest, most powerful type of inquiry which can compel witnesses and recommend prosecutions, has previously heard that 7% of priests working in Australia between 1950 and 2010 were accused of child sex crimes, but few were pursued. The report was based on analysis of data kept by Catholic Church authorities. The Royal Commission has been roundly praised by victim advocates as the most comprehensive public inquiry into child abuse. It is due to report back to the government in December.
We've all known the truth for a long time, but it's nice that it's all coming out in the open, that everyone else can understand how bad this organisation is.
Australia's most senior Catholic, Cardinal George Pell, said last year the Church had made enormous mistakes and catastrophic choices by refusing to believe abused children, shuffling abusive priests from parish to parish, and over-relying on counselling of priests to solve the problem. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with all the sports news you might have missed in sports action. Angel Di Maria scored twice as Paris Saint-Germain stunned Barcelona to leave the Spanish side in danger of failing to reach the Champions League quarter-finals for the first time in a decade. PSG dominated the last 16 first leg tie throughout and took the lead through Di Maria's curled free kick. Julian Draxler added a second with an angled drive before Di Maria curled an effort into the top corner. Edinson Cavani then sealed a famous win with a powerful fourth. The defeat leaves Barcelona with an almighty task to stay in the competition when they host PSG in the return leg on the 8th of March. Arsenal's Champions League hopes lie in tatters at the last 16 stage yet again following a first leg battering at Bayern Munich. The Gunners' challenge lasted until the break thanks to Alexis Sanchez, who followed up his own missed penalty to equalize after Ian Robbins superbly struck 25-yard opener. But after Arsenal lost Laurent Koscielny to injury early in the second half, Bayern ran riot during a 10-minute period in which Robert Lewandowski headed home before Thiago Alcantara scored twice. Substitute Thomas Müller rubbed salt in the wounds with a late fifth. Real Madrid came from a goal down to beat Napoli in the first leg of their Champions League last 16 tie. The visitors took the lead after Keylor Navas was caught off guard by a superb Lorenzo Insigne strike inside 8 minutes. Karim Benzema headed the equalizer past Pepe Reina from Dani Carvajal's cross 11 minutes later. Toni Kroos put the hosts ahead early in the second half before a stunning volley from Casemiro sealed the win. Napoli will host the second leg on the 7th of March with a place in the quarterfinals at stake. Joe Root said that he felt privileged, humbled and very excited to be named England Test cricket captain on Monday, replacing Alistair Cook, who resigned last week after 4.5 years in charge. Colin Graves, chairman of the England and Wales Cricket Board, said in a statement that the Yorkshire batsman had been the perfect choice. Durham's 25-year-old all-rounder Ben Stokes was named vice-captain, the role previously held by Root. Root will become England's 80th Test skipper with his first game in charge set to be against South Africa at Lord's on July 6th. Embattled Jamaican sprinter Nesta Carter has filed an appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sports after he was retroactively found guilty of doping at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Carter retroactively tested positive for the banned stimulant methylhexanamine in 2008 and on January 25th was stripped of his 4x100 gold medal along with teammates Usain Bolt, Asafa Powell and Michael Frater. Carter's lawyer said his client is waiting for a date to come before the CAS for his appeal after confirming the appeal had been submitted to the Switzerland-based body within the 21-day deadline. And finally, North Korea held sports events in Pyongyang to celebrate the 75th birth anniversary of late leader Kim Jong-il. He died on December 17, 2011. His birthday, February 16th, which is a national holiday, has also been designated as the Day of the Shining Star. North Korea's official news agency KCNA said figure skaters from Russia, Belarus, Canada, France and Italy took part in the performances. I'm going to leave you with these visuals from Pyongyang. Until next time, this is Frank Pereira signing off.